Hello, everybody. So excited to be here from Hot for History and talk to you about Prince Harry and all of the buzz over whether or not he is going back to the UK. And even before we started, we have all of these questions and all of this great talk. And I'll just kind of quote what Stephen here is saying. It's very sus or suspect regarding Harry and Meghan in these days. You know, weird hotel rooms. They're talking about visa issues. He lost his lawsuit. And it said, and apparently Meghan Markle is in the process of writing a book, or they're going to write a movie about their life. So what is going on with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? Are they staying together forever? Or is Harry coming back to the UK? Are they just going to buy property in the UK? What is going on? So welcome, everybody. I am Deanna from Hot for History. I've had a little bit of break because I had graduation ceremonies with my family, with my daughter who just graduated from high school. So we had all of our family here. And so, you know, I wasn't able to go live, but there's a lot going on. And I wanted to just address this a little bit. So the big question is, could Harry return to the UK? Will he ever sever ties? Will he sever ties or not? I mean, you know how it is. If you're from somewhere, like from a certain country, you'll want to have ties to it. Let me take some questions. We have people here from Illinois, from Saskatchewan, New York. Thank you, Stephen, already for the super sticker. I greatly appreciate it. And from London, Christine, I would love to hear your take on this. What's London thinking? Because after the New York City car chase with Harry and Meghan, you know, the catastrophic, awful over exaggeration. But we're going to talk a little bit about that too, on whether or not it really was an over exaggeration. But, you know, America is getting a little tired of them because they kind of messed up in the wrong neighborhood. Like you mess up in New York City, people get a little bit upset. So we're going to kind of talk about some of this buzz that's going on out there. Okay, from Wisconsin, I'm going to be heading up to the Midwest in like tomorrow. And by the way, you guys will be seeing a lot of new content that will be really talking about my house that I bought, which was my great grandparents' home. And we'll be visiting some cemeteries, and we'll be talking about history in America and the Midwest, which should be a lot of fun. Let me see what Christine is saying in the UK. People are starting to accept Camilla. Okay, he had a question. She says, but I personally don't at all. As for Harry, he's not welcomed. Ooh. Stephen had asked a question about Camilla because, you know, just curious now that she's queen. He said, hey, London, just a subscriber hanging around. How do people generally feel about Camilla in the UK? And would the people always accept Harry back with or without that nutmeg, he said. And then he said something about nutmeg and ginger, like he's making a chai latte. That's what I'm going to use my $19 on, Steve. And I'm going to be I'm going to be getting some chai lattes at Starbucks. So my experience. So then Christine said, you know, no, it's, you know, some people are warming up to her. Camilla has had a long PR game, you know, like they've really worked hard to get the UK to accept her. And so many people have. And yet at the same time, my friends over there are like, no, they're remembering a little bit too much with the past and how it came to be that she became queen. Let's just read some questions, then I'm going to read the article. Hopefully he goes back home with kids. Yes, born in UK. Now, can you imagine, guys, because the content tonight we're saying, is he going to go back? Because there's all of this talk about whether or not he's going to go back. And I'm going to read this in a second. But I know for myself, if I was from the UK and I came to America with my, you know, American wife, I would want very desperately to kind of have the connection to my homeland. I mean, it just seems natural. So I don't know. I think, you know, love would be accepting your, you know, your husband and where he's coming from. And, you know, even if you move, saying, okay, we're going to go back. I mean, that is just natural. That would be, you know, my take on the subject. And I think it would show that there's some respect there because it's really hard to shake that off. Like I have a bunch of kids that are adopted from all over the world who didn't really live there that long, but they were kids. But there's something about that homeland that's still very, very deep. And, you know, of course he's going to want to have some land there. Let me see what Lester's saying. Linda Lester. Harry is trying to rewrite the story that happened with his mother. He and Meghan are the new characters. It just seemed so textbook. Like, yeah, it seemed like, wait, why is he inserting this entire story and creating the story and this narrative when that wasn't it? And yet he's trying to tell us that it was. It was, I mean, I'm sure there was chaos. I'm sure the paparazzi was probably a little crazy and it probably did trigger him. But was it the same? According to witnesses, it was not. And according to the cab driver. But that doesn't mean that he didn't feel that way. Harry and Meghan constantly are talking about how they feel. Just like when Samantha Markle brought a lawsuit against Meghan, and Samantha lost because Meghan had said that she grew up without siblings. And then the judge basically said, well, we agree with the fact that she said she felt like she grew up without siblings. So that's that. Okay, so let's talk. He was starstruck. Hollywood is so, I love you guys so much, by the way, because even before I get to any articles, like you have content and input, which is great. And for those of you who are just popping on for the first time, we really do have a kind of a wide range of opinion. I think a lot of people are tired of hearing Meghan, but we have a lot of supporters too. And we don't think that the royal family, I don't think, is perfect. So, we're addressing that too, but we are royal watchers, I would say, and people who are sort of into that subject matter. So let me read what Yahoo says. I mean, Yahoo, they usually just kind of copy a lot of stuff that's out there, but it says, though they no longer live in the UK, home of Frogmore Cottage, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's time in the Harry's home country is a chapter that may not be fully closed. Multiple outlets are reporting that it's possible that it's not off the table that they could return to Britain. I'd never say never. He says it's always possible that one day he might want to come home. Of course. Why not? I mean, and then what happened to all of his friends? He cut ties to all of his friends. It's possible that he might buy a property. He should buy a property here if he wanted to come over, and Meghan didn't want to come over. Okay, there's all this insinuation, by the way, so much high buzz over like whether or not they're going to stay married right now, especially. Meghan, this guy Grant Harold says Meghan doesn't really have any family here, and she just signed a deal with William Morris. So there's all this like stuff she's going to be doing. So will she even want to come back? Harry's always going to have an association with the UK and would never totally want to cut it off. He'll always want to keep his fingers in that pie, so to speak. He'll want to have that association with Britain just in case one day he does want to come back. And I don't think Harry will want to sever ties. And then they go on to say that Harry and Meghan were a huge asset to do you guys think that they were an asset to the royal family? I think that they were totally an asset. So I agree with this part, but you guys may not agree. So in the beginning, let's just talk about the first, like when they were involved, like the first 18 months. They were a huge success as a couple to the royals, and I think they actually really needed them. I mean, they were young, the face of, younger, connecting to young England. To have a woman of color in the royal family, as you know, is a wonderful thing for the connection for a more diverse nation. So there was a need to have them back. And then this guy goes on to say that it's very possible they could come back. However, at this moment in time, they seem happy to be in the States, and that's where they would want to be. And then other people are saying, would he come back with Meghan or without Meghan? So that I'm going to take some questions in a second, but I'm going to move on to this. So he says it's very possible, but hey, is he starting to sort of wake up to what's going on with Meghan? Let's see what you guys have to say. Let me go back a little bit, guys. I heard security tried to get them to go back into the door. Yeah, and did they actually go back? It's true. I heard that they have pretty good security, and the security was like, don't do that. But the plan was totally turned around, right? So maybe they just kind of were like, we're going to do what we want to do. Seems to be a debate. It's like a tug of war. Please stay in the U.S. And then people in the U.S. are, please go. It's just too much now. I think we're all a little bit tired of this. Also, why Archie only asking about his king grandfather? What about his other one? You mean we're talking about Lilibet? Or are you talking about Thomas Markle? I mean, it's a good point because Thomas Markle also has been sort of left out of having a relationship with Archie and Lilibet, and so that has been something, when you see patterns like that, when, people are taking their new spouses away, or they're cutting ties off, there's definitely a problem there. And that's why they get the title, that's why people label them as narcissists, and that, because it's narcissistic behavior, honestly, to take your family away, or your spouse away from the family, and then limit things. It just is. Heck, if I'd get myself something like Queen Mum in Scotland, that castle on Coast and Harold could walk guard duty. Have you ever checked that out? Oh, I know that Scotland's beautiful. By the way, they just had, I believe, their coronation in Scotland. The king and the queen did. So just want to let you know. Okay, so has Prince Harry, finally woken up to the truth about Meghan, which this royal expert says? Prince Harry has finally woken up to the truth. Now, again, I think that some of these articles and these statements, like, I don't know, honestly, how legit they are. They're always like somebody was, the butler of somebody at one point, so I don't know, but let's just read it. Anyhow, Paul Burrell, who worked for Diana for over 10 years, and he also honestly knew Harry and Will pretty well, until her sudden death, has sensationally claimed that the Duke of Sussex is only staying in the marriage so that he can see his 2 children grow up. That is incentive, I would say. Am I the only person in the UK that is thinking, has Harry finally woken up to the truth? Has he finally seen the truth of what his wife is doing and what he's been brainwashed and mesmerized by her beauty or something? Because we all know that, but he doesn't seem to see it. Burrell then echoed King Charles's former butler, Grant Harold, who I just quoted to you guys in that other article, saying he believes that the exiled royal will soon return to the home soil for good. What's more, he claims that the British people will welcome the spare. Girl, Christine, I think you were saying the opposite. What's more, he claims that the British people will welcome him with open arms. I don't know. Let's talk about that in a second. I have no doubt that when this happens, because I think they'll welcome him with open arms without Meghan. That's what I think. That's what I'm saying, but I really want to hear what you guys have to say. I have no doubt that when this happens, and it will happen, he said, it's absolutely going to happen. There's no doubt that they're definitely getting a divorce, according to these people. I think his father, the king, and his brother, the Prince of Wales, will greet him back into the country with open arms. There is an element of Harry that we all love. That is true. We just don't understand why he's doing what he's doing. That is very true. The Sussexes, who wed in 2018, shut the door on royal life and went to California. So Burrell says that his own experience of dealing with a broken home, Harry dealing with a broken home, make it even more important for him to avoid a divorce. So he'll stick it out. Like a lot of people are saying, he's done, but Harry will stick it out. He will endure the drama. However, they're all saying that he's staying in different places. As Stephen mentioned, okay, let's talk about it. Stop. This is getting ridiculous. She's a horrible person. Your mother would not approve. Are you talking to me? My mother would not approve. Please leave US. My mother loved me, by the way. And she passed away. Heck, I'd get myself something like, okay, we talked about that. It was obvious she was a snake since at least the engagement video. See, I don't know. Let's talk about that a second. I was all in. Engagement video, the wedding, after the wedding. For me, I was like all in. So I didn't see it. Now I saw it in the engagement video after things started to unravel. I was like, gosh, she's always like kind of leading the conversation, whatever. I mean, we're women. We should be able to kind of say what we want to say, but there are certain protocols. So I didn't see that although hindsight is 2020, until after the fact. Why do you hate this couple? The New York lied about the car chase. Okay, I'm not addressing that. All of New York lied about the car chase? I don't think so. I lived in New York for years. One thing I will say about New York, if somebody's lying, then they all need to be lying, because there's cameras everywhere, and they're not afraid to speak contrary to what the other person says. You will have a downright argument and fight on the street. So if they're all confirming this, it's, it is what it is. I'm not saying that there wasn't something that caused them stress. I believe that he was highly stressed and it was chaotic. And I'm even going to mention an article later. So I do hope that you hang out and don't leave this, because I'm going to read an article from this security guy that says, yeah, it was probably chaotic, but I don't hate them. I'll say that again and again. I don't hate them, but I'm also not going to have pretense and pretend that I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. I don't go into the world of denial. I'm not going to do that. She thought she will be a Disney princess that doesn't do any work. I think that she was shocked about the amount of work the royals do. Look at Sophie. Yeah, she was in Iraq. So Sophie is like Edinburgh is perfect example of somebody who came into the family and then worked her tail off and is working her tail off and is amazing. And in fact, the Queen said to Meghan, if you need any support, Sophie's a great person to speak to. And she was. You know why? Because Sophie had been in PR for years. So Sophie could have really helped her out, but she denied that support. She wasn't really coachable. I don't think Meghan, I don't think she was coachable. And I don't know if we all saw this, Christine, what you're just saying, that, Meghan, wanted to do her thing when it was in real time. We just didn't. We really, really wanted this. We wanted our Disney UK princess. That's what we wanted. And we didn't really get that. And that's why we're disappointed, but we are trying. The reason why we're having these conversations is because we're trying to ascertain these articles. What is real and what's not? Are we being fed a crock just like, are we being fed a whole crock, as Harry says? Harry was like, oh, we trade stories. I believe there's some truth to that. But I also believe that Harry and Meghan are doing the same thing. So let me see some questions and comments. If I had hotel rooms, my wife would have a yeah, she might be like, what are you doing in there? Like, come on. I have always been a monarchist, but I don't like or support H&M or our new king and his wife. Yeah, and this is an honest statement. It's possible to make that observation on both sides. It's possible to be like, what the heck? Like, and I think that's why it's like we're kind of seeing a what show. We're like, what's going on? Oh my gosh. So the king, when we've discussed this, he's now marrying the mistress. He was having affairs years before, and he married this girl who turned out to be amazing, but she also had her problems because she had an eating disorder, and then she ended up having affairs. But she did come into the marriage intact and gave him the heir and the spare, and yet basically they played her, and then she lost it in some ways, and then she ended up getting killed, and now her son, who probably wasn't able to get the proper therapy, and if he did, he needed more. One reacted in one way, one reacted in another way, but it's intense grief is basically word vomiting all over the entire world because of it, because now he feels like he's in a safe place to be able to tell his truth. I hate that phrase. I hate phrase because I like things that it's true or it's not. But anyhow, he's telling his truth. And so I agree with you. You can love the royal family and the idea of the royal family and conceptually look at it and go, oh, this is like one weird soap opera, because it is. Okay, so let's read this because what was her name? RN Share. Listen, the one who said that I hated them in New York was lying. Now, to what you're saying, after I was like, oh, it's not all true. This guy is saying that irregardless of whether they're chasing him like a gun chase, which it wasn't, it can feel very scary. So I'm sure it was scary for him. Princess Diana's former bodyguard, Lee Sansom, shared his thoughts on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's alleged near-catastrophic car chase in New York. The ex-Royal Military Police officer provided security for the late Princess of Wales and her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, during the summer of 1997, prior to her fatal collision in August. In an interview, Sansom weighed in on the incident, the near catastrophic car chase, the Fast and the Furious through New York City, during which the Duke and Duchess of Sussex claimed paparazzi relentlessly pursued them and Meghan's mother, Doria Ragland, for over 2 hours. And we all know, we've had these comments before. Why didn't they just stay in? Why did they engage? Why did his driver go crazy too? Like, why didn't they do 10 million things? Many people believe it's because they refused to be obedient to what their security team was telling them. But anyhow, I think really from the information that we're reading that it is put out in the press, I think we're only getting part of the story, he says. Whether it's entirely the correct story, it's a version of the story. But from my experience in the past, he is confirming that the paparazzi, the people taking the photographs, are intrusive. Yes, they're aggressive. And eventually it just freaks you out and you lose it. He says, you can just, get on with it or with any kind of put up with it, but it's very oppressive. And eventually, even the coolest of us, we just are like, dude, get out of my face. So the security professional noted that the paparazzi pursuits to get the money shot can not only jeopardize the safety of photographer's subject, but also that of bystanders. And so he said, I find it absolutely crazy that these people are allowed to do this. Okay, so he's confirming that, it can be crazy, but here is the problem with what he's saying. Famous people are in New York City all the time, like a lot more famous. I'm sorry, a lot more famous than Harry and Meghan. And they make their plan. And New York has the best security ever. Like, you just call the cops, and as big as the entire area is, Manhattan's really not that big. It's just not. It's a grid. You go, like, it's just a grid. And so the problem is that it doesn't really make sense. So we're all still kind of going, what? We admit and we acknowledge that it could have been really, really scary. It was probably really scary, but I don't know. So in the meantime, let's look at some questions, and then we'll talk about Harry's case. Meghan thought she would just do whatever she wanted, but there are rules to follow. Yes. So let me just staged even gold dress. Many people said that she was trying to imitate Kate. It's a gold dress, but you never know. He's at the hotel with a bottle of scotch and I heard he was playing games. That's what I heard. I heard he was gaming. What? Okay, I'm going to put this out there. Not that I'm a gaming expert. My son in the other room is probably chuckling right now. What video games, besides solitaire, I think that's a funny answer too, would Harry be playing, and keep it like PG rated? I'm talking about actual video games. Would Harry be playing in his hotel room? I'm just curious. I'm really curious. And then I will pull up this article if I still have it. Okay, so royal security expert calls UK judge's decision against allowing Prince Harry to pay for security protection totally wrong. Where is the video of the chase? Where's the video? Where is the video? Where's all the video of the chase? Where's the video from the people on the street? Where's the video? Where is it? So, okay, so it was one of the potentially worst times for the news to come out. Prince Harry had been denied. So, backstory, he was trying to get what they call the Home Office, which is like the DHS here, to pay for his security with his family when he gets into town. And he failed on that. So with the news coming this week that that he and his wife, Meghan Markle's two-hour car chase in New York City by the paparazzi, likely a time where they feel less safe than ever. And in addition to Harry and Meghan's mother, Doria, was involved in this incident. Harry was losing his bid to pay for security, and this guy says it's totally wrong, says his name's Richard Adich, who says the couple's security measures need to be discussed not just in the UK, but in the US as well. Harry, Meghan, and their two children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, live in Montecito. The family moved stateside. We all know that. It's just absolutely ridiculous and completely mind-baffling, the High Court's decision today. But the thing is, he did get security when he was there for the coronation. And he did get, so he has that. He's just wanting the government to pay for it. He does need security. They need security, whether or not, but the question is, should the government pay for rich people's security? That is the question, because he's not officially royal anymore in their eyes. So what do you guys think? Because this really isn't an opinion on whether you like them or not. If they're royal and they've been royal for years and they have this family, should the government pay for their security in the UK? Or should they just be paying for it by themselves? So what do you guys think? Call of Duty. That's a very ironic answer to my question. What game would he play? Call of Duty, but he'd be losing it because he's not, with the duty. But it would be funny. And then what's the one? Is Call of Duty the one with the car chases all the time? You should research. You keep telling me that. I've got to write it down. I should research black belt barrister. He'd be playing war type games. Good point. He should show his videos, not ask others. Okay. That car chase was hilarious. They are such jokes. Yeah. Can there be, okay, wait. I lost the question. Okay. Can there really be a car chase? No, I lived in New York City for a million years. Now I'm exaggerating. No, I lived there for a really long time. West 57th Street in an apartment. I lived in Whitestone, Queens. I worked, I was in New York City all the time, constantly. And I drove in the city. I did take public transportation, but I drove there a lot. You cannot, especially when theater gets out, you cannot have a car chase. The government shouldn't pay. The government shouldn't pay for rich private security. And that is their argument. It's not a matter of whether they need it. Yeah, they need security. But there's celebrities all the time. And in New York City, I'm telling you, people, I hate to say it because it makes it sound so bad, but they're not impressed with Harry and Meghan. Like, of course, they're going to have some fans shouting their little fan, but people aren't, like, seriously, 90% of the people would rather just, go home, especially in Midtown. It's not like there's people like hanging out waiting to catch a glimpse of Harry and Meghan. It's the paparazzi was trying to get the shots. Okay, but it's, I'm just telling you, it's not crowds and crowds of people. It's the paparazzi wanting the shot for all of us to see in the news or online. So it's really kind of dealing with them, but everybody else, all these other famous people have been able to manage it. So why weren't they able to manage it? I think they should, come on, Anne. I think they should pay. They gave it up, let them pay. What video game is Harry playing in his hotel room? One of them, his like man caves that he's leaving Montecito Castle for, Grand Theft Auto. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Where did he spend the night before coronation? No, I think, I thought he actually was at Frogmore, because I thought that after the coronation, he lost it, but I could be wrong. He needs security. He's still a prince. As for her, I think she should pay for it. Okay. Yeah. So I think when they're there, especially, they should have security, but they had security. I don't know. I'm very confused. I guess because he was there for a state event, that they paid for it. He got his security back to the hotel and back to the airport. So I'm not understanding what the problem is, but anyhow, he lost. Okay. Government should only be responsible for royal events. And that's what we're saying. I think celebs just want to walk around in New York City. And that's the thing. That is exactly true. In the course of a Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever night, that's what I did. I had a big band, an entertainment company in New York City. It was the top entertainment company in New York City. We played all of these events. I did production for these events. The rooms were loaded with the most famous people in the world. And many of my clients, the wedding clients, were highly famous, a lot more famous than them. While there are people wanting to get pictures, what usually happens is they'll set up in the agenda how they're getting their pictures. Like, okay, I did Michael Douglas's wedding to Catherine Zeta-Jones. This is not me making a political statement. I'm just telling you, I performed and my band played at Donald Trump's wedding to Marla Maples. Security, paparazzi. There's a wall of cameras. Get your pictures, take them out. They're done. Now they all go home to the bar. That's how it works. You give them the pictures, you plan it ahead of time. And I guess there was one photographer inside and they wouldn't allow other photographers inside. So why did it become this thing when everyone in New York society, high-end stuff, you know, I don't understand. I mean, you know, and also, you know, I mean, and that's just a couple of the names because I've done many, and I'm not doing that to name drop. I'm just saying that to let you know that I've seen this firsthand. Possibly cars, military, and he's probably using games when he talks to fellow gamers. Can you imagine? What is Harry's gaming nickname? I'm sorry. What is his secret gaming nickname when he plays, I don't know, Minecraft or Grand Theft Auto? Okay, so also I'm a Scott and not a Diana fan. Harry, you should be ashamed of yourself. Stop now, please. And so here's the thing. Like, yeah, I mean, we've talked about this too. Like both Diana, I mean, we tend to, I don't know, we tend to make her into a hero in many ways because many of us loved her even in spite of her flaws. But many people are not. And yet we can recognize the flaws and the hurt that Harry has had, but it doesn't warrant kind of this. He's what is he? He's almost 40 years old. Like, come on. I'm late trying to catch up. Hey, Erica, what's going on? We are cheeky. We're always cheeky. We're trying to kind of make heads or tails over whether or not Harry would be going back to the UK, whether or not he's going to break up with his wife, whether or not the car chase was, you know, as dramatic as it should be, and whether or not the home office should be paying for his security. So now you're caught up and we want to hear from you. The home office refused to pay for his security because he is not a working royal. He tried to tell them he was going to pay. That's right. He did say he would pay, but the answer was, we as police officer, we are not guns for hire. And that was a good answer. You know, they didn't want to pay because now they're going to get stuck having to pay for like all of these rich people. And yes, Deborah, absolutely. Everything is gossip and speculation. We are gossiping and we are speculating based on a handful of articles. None of us really know. And that is 1,000% true. Games, Gears of War, Call of Duty, anything military, I bet. Yeah, I agree. If it's a royal event, then they should pay. I was talking about for normal, everyday government shouldn't pay for rich. Yeah, I agree. Did Michael, his wife just falls apart seeing him? I don't know. They're rich. They should pay for themselves, just like the rest of us, the rest of people. New Yorkers don't get that is true. Absolutely. Anyone celebrities, they just want to get to where 1,000%. In fact, you know what happens in New York? If there's like a car chase, everyone's annoyed. Everyone, you know why it would have made the news? It would have made the news from your everyday New Yorker if this was so bad, because they would have been annoyed. It's a Tuesday night. They maybe went to the theater or in their bar, and all of a sudden their roads are like, if they're in a car, their roads are stuck. If they're in a cab, everything's stuck. Like, this could not possibly have been as dramatic as they're saying, because trust me. But now you start insulting and start lying about what went down in the city, because people get stuff done in New York. We don't like that either. We just don't. Like New Yorkers, my husband is, you know, was a New Yorker, and both my two oldest kids were born in New York City. So like, no, they don't care. They don't care. So that's absolutely true. He left his position with the firm. So he left the right to have the protection. And that's what they're trying to say. It's complex. It's a complicated thing. Okay. Add nothing to the conversation and gossip. Thank you very much. People who don't care about them anywhere. Shame on you. Well, I don't receive any shame, so you can shame yourself back. That's something that, you know, that's not something that's like, there's like a invisible, you know, reflective wall up here that doesn't bother me. She should have taken the games, because all I'm doing is asking questions. Told him to take his games out and please pray. Do we know where he stayed the night before the coronation? I know you're asking for that. I don't know if we know. I thought it was Frogmore. After being so afraid of New York recently, I think it's time for him to go home unless they are going to get real jobs. Well, let's think about all of the great things they could have done. They could have done so many amazing things, like, you know, like Megan was amazing. Like what they were doing in the beginning, amazing stuff. Why don't they focus on the Invictus game? Why don't they do even some Netflix series or some television or production stuff with that? Do you know how much they would be loved in America and the UK? Like, if you think about what they could have done rather than play the victim, that could have elevated, I hate to put it this way, but their brand and their perception, like it would have been amazing. And that's the thing. That's why we're frustrated, because we wish they would have taken a positive route. They still could have had their freedom, but they didn't have to be basically just gossip. You know, we're gossiping, but they didn't have to necessarily just be gossiping about their own family. He does. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. Absolutely. You can't use a title in America. It is against the Constitution. I feel like Harry will be running back to England. I don't think the Harry and Meghan marriage will last. Yeah, and I don't wish that either. Like, I don't wish that either. And yet I also agree with you, because when you think about what they've gone through, so much. It's so much drama. And it doesn't seem like they're really working together. You know, they really did not seem like they were working, like they're even working together. So I don't know. Let's just read a couple of these more and let's talk about the swimming pool. Only time I've seen traffic flow, all cabs going up and down the street in front of Waldorf where we stayed. Park Avenue around that, it depends on the time of day, but yes, it can kind of flow, or Madison Avenue, Lexington. Yeah, Waldorf, by the way, great history. I love the stories of Waldorf. Played there many times with my band. They are not working in the U.S. or diplomats. They should hire their own personal security. Right. I've never heard about her until she was marrying Harry. I think she's doing it for her fame. She thought she was going to get, but people saw through her. Yeah. Yeah. And later in the night, the traffic is much better. Sundays, the traffic is really great. It's just that the time of night when they were traveling, it was not conducive to traffic. And so that's why it was so weird. Okay. So King Charles is going, you know, all into like the whole, you know, thing with wanting to sustain energy and all that. So he has turned down the swimming pool temperature, just for you all to know, because this is important stuff for us to know. I wonder what type of temperature, like it didn't say in the article. That's why I'm passing through it, what they brought it down to. Because, you know, a nice cold, what do they call it? The Wim Hof method is actually pretty good for you. It's supposed to be good for your, you know, circulation and your cells and all that. So apparently Prince William, as Prince of Wales, is dubbed a DILF. Oh my gosh. Okay, by swooning fans. Female explores how William has usurped Harry's crown as the heartthrob of the royal family. This is fun. Although all eyes were supposed to be on King Charles during the coronation celebrations earlier this month, there was one member of the royal family who inadvertently stole some of the focus on his father's big day. As a teenager in his early 20s, Prince William's thick blonde hair, remember there used to be Prince William posters that people used to put up on their walls, and smoldering stare earned him prime position in the UK's rank as a bona fide heartthrob. But it seems that following his touching speech at the coronation concert, William, the father of three, now in his 40s, is considerably less of those blonde locks, has won a new generation of swooning, adoring fans and officially usurped. That's because Harry's no longer cute. Because we used to think he was so cute, because even we liked that he was a little bit rebellious, let's be honest. But now he just sounds like he's whining, and nobody likes, it's not cute when they whine. Okay, how handsome is Prince William? One viewer tweeted, he radiates love, warmth, confidence. Another, if this isn't hot, I don't know what it is. So William is hot as F, a third joke. I will not be taking any further questions. Can you believe this nonsense? In recent years, the Prince of Wales has been somewhat overshadowed in the looks department by his younger brother, Harry, who won over his own fan base thanks to his trademark ginger locks and cheeky sense of humor. But here, the charts, the rise and fall of the brothers' hotness over the years, from Will's bulging biceps receiving his COVID jab to Harry's confidence-boosting beard. Most people spend their teenage years feeling awkward and uncomfortable in their skin. But in a nutshell, they're saying that he is, oh, I wish I could show you the picture. You can't see it. No, you can't see it. Oh, you see it. So they're saying that he's cuter. So what do you guys think? Erica, I've never heard of her. Okay, so now let's look at the new comments. Will is charming, but he can be a handful too. Harry's attitude makes him ugly. I know, but he used to be cute. Everybody used to like him. Harold loves to torture his brother about hair loss. And yet, did you see that the cameras were being, I guess, cheeky? I guess that's the word they call it. Like from above, like Harry's hairline is not looking good. He's like following in his brother's footsteps. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But I'm just saying, you know, whatever. Do you think must have happened between them? Of course, we all saw it coming, but the news is possible separation. I don't. I think I believe it. I don't, but I also think it won't happen as soon as we think. I think that it's complicated, and Harry and Meghan, if they break up, which I think they probably will, it's just too intense. It's, you know, they're going to want to stay together for the kids. So it's going to be a complicated thing. I did hear somebody say that he probably already burned through his inheritance. The royal family doesn't really own any of their own stuff because they just got a lot of money and land. So I don't know. It could be complicated. And yes, technically, if the kids were in the UK, the guardianship falls to the king, apparently, but none of that's old school stuff. So that probably wouldn't apply. There's a channel that calls him the ginger sock puppet. I think William is attractive. He looks, his look, I do. Yeah. He does. He reminds me of his mom too. He's got that, he kind of puts his head down every now and then. It looks like Harry is using some fake hairspray. Oh, I know. I knew a guy who used to do that. They just kind of go around in a circle and then it's just, yeah. If they separate, I don't think anybody will be surprised. He has different hair loss. I call it Friar Tuck. Oh, Stephen, look at it's like the circle in the back, kind of like representative of Harry's entire life. Like he doesn't really see the contradiction, you know, like he's talking about his brother and yet he's got it as well. Having been able to be where Kate was, she is simply gorgeous. I love Kate. And listen, she's a strong woman. And right now, by the way, she's getting so many attacks from Hollywood, like Little Mermaid making jokes about her not really having her voice. And then there's some really low life joke about her. But it takes a lot. I've always loved kind of quiet strength, like people who are kind of overlooked. But if you really take a minute to stop and see what they're doing, there's power in it. And I feel that way about Kate. I feel like she's a powerhouse, but like this composed energy. Like I really like it. I really, really like it. Okay, so guys, let's see. Let's answer a couple of other questions. Diana's mother is a cousin of mine. That's fun. Through the Joseph Strong family in Connecticut. A lot of people don't know. Yeah, she's half American. It was her grandmother, Frances Work, depending on how you pronounce it. And they were also aristocrats. They had like some money. Anyhow, he doesn't seem to know what the reason is anybody cares about him, including Meghan. It's not because his name is Harry, but because his name is Prince Harry. Ooh, girl, that is true. Yeah, I think the Little Mermaid thing was unnecessary. Somebody said that they didn't think that quote would ever have gone out had Meghan and Harry not been in Hollywood and it hadn't been something, you know. Because why didn't you say Meghan? Or I don't know. So Kate will be queen. What does she care about some loser in Hollywood? Yeah. It's just, I think no matter, I think that's a good point that you bring up, but they're human beings with feelings. And I think, you know, he was her brother in a sense, even though not her brother, but they spent so much time together. And I think it does kind of, it stings a little bit. If William had gotten the rotten apple for a wife, his wife, I think he may have impacted the entire monarchy. Oh, yeah, that's really a really good point. A really great point. Okay, so guys, I am going to call it a day. I'm going to be traveling to the Midwest. So these lives, I think I'm going to try to do them once a week, but I'm going to do other lives about history and then also about what I'm doing up there. So we will be going live a couple times, but I think we're going to do one time a week on this. I think, you know, I love it. I think I'm interested in really seeing what happens. I'm fascinated by it, but it is gossip. It's not real. I mean, it's history in the sense that I've always said it's history in the making, but I want to dive in a little bit more to actual history and some of my shorts. So I really appreciate you guys. We will figure out what Harry's his secret gaming name is, because I think that would be funny to find out. And I appreciate you guys so much. And I will talk to you probably in a couple days because I'll be on the road, but have a really blessed time. And please do subscribe. Check out all of my shorts that I'm doing, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.